Hello and welcome to the PC Perspective Podcast. We're at episode 858. This is being recorded on February 25, 2026. I'm Sebastian Peak.
I'm Jeremy Hellstrom.
I'm Josh Walrath.
I'm Brett Van Spremberg.
And I'm Kent Burgess.
We're so excited to have you with us for this, our 858th episode. We've had actually more than that, but some of them were unofficial. We don't count them, and we'll never speak of them again. So the lost episodes, maybe someday, will release.
Did it involve a glass panel from a Falcon Northwest computer?
That I cannot confirm or deny. There also may have been mineral oil involved. I don't remember. But
there were some interesting like 2-ups, 3-ups back then, display wise. We were very creative.
We want to talk about Patreon because we're YouTubers and that's what we do. We beg for money. We whine and complain about keeping the lights on. But really, if it weren't for our patrons in this world of ad blockers and scripts that block ads, we would make absolutely no money and not be able to keep the site going. So thank you very much. Anybody to thank in particular?
I grabbed a couple of likely candidates from the list of, well, I don't want to give the number away. It's very, very large. So I just grabbed a couple of the likely names and named Sean R. And Greg W. And no, Hollywood has not come calling yet, but we expect that soon, very soon.
Have you contacted Ryan Reynolds and Rob McElhenney yet? I hear that they are.
I'm sorry.
And who would they be
legally
playing?
changed his name to Rob Mack.
To Rob Mack.
So,
He's
I'm
always
going to run into Reynolds sooner or later. It's inevitable that I will end up drinking with
as
Ryan
a fellow
Reynolds.
Canadian.
It's inevitably inevitable.
No, he spends a lot of time in Van and
Well, yeah.
like
That's
socializing.
where he's Van City Ryan.
There's a
Or
reason
Van
for
City
that.
Reynolds
Weird,
or something. Yeah, strange.
You know what isn't strange? Eating food. If you're a human being who is presently alive, you probably do that from time to time. Josh, do you want to talk about food?
Okay, so you know what? I shook it up. I shook it up real hard today. Real hard. Went down. I had to take kid down to Fort Collins and get some stuff done. And I'm sitting there and thinking, I'm hungry. Breakfast sounds good. Let's do it. Let's go to the original Pancake House in Fort Collins, Colorado. And not to be, non-politically correct, but this is the Texican breakfast. Yes, chorizo, hash browns, cheese, the fluffiest scrambled eggs, fresh cut jalapenos. Yeah. All of those things all mixed together. And 3 pretty big flapjacks. And you think that, boy, those look like small pancakes. No, it's just a really large plate. You know what they say?
Yeah.
If you cut down the bushes, the tree looks taller. So, yeah. It was extremely filling. I haven't eaten since this at 10 o'clock this morning. The Texican was outstanding. Put a little Cholula hot sauce on top as well. Yeah. Now, if you ever get the chance, the original Pancake House. Fantastic. Super clean. And we sat at Jack's table. I don't know who Jack is, but apparently he used to show up there a lot, and it's a memorial. So, yeah. Thanks, Jack.
Habit.
It's his table.
All right, let's move on to PC Perspective News. Everybody awaits this segment of the podcast every week because it's just easier to listen to us read news stories than it is for you to do that yourself. Mm-hmm. And in no particular order, from videocards.com, Intel job listing mentions unified core CPU design team. So can we just interpret that this means they're going to get rid of their performance in E-cores and go to a unified core architecture? Some people on Twitter are saying, no, it just means all the cores are going to have the same IP. They're just going to have different power limits. There won't be different architectures anymore, perhaps. Intel has not made anything official, but that job listing for between 141 and 269,000 a year.
Oh,
Base
bit of a range.
Bit of a swing.
Yeah, I guess it depends on, how attractive you
How long
are.
you worked for
or
AMD?
How
Yeah,
qualified you are.
It's in Austin, so you got to make some good money to live there.
I wonder if they do go back to a unified architecture for their CPUs, is this a commentary on the most prevalent operating system out there that just can't deal with figuring out how to parcel out their processes into E and P cores?
Everything.
BIOS?
Well,
you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, I do, because that is a problem for every operating system out there, because not only do you have a CPU that you've got to get some cache coherency done. I mean, they've done some things to make it less impactful, that you can still shoot the data to where it needs to be, but still E-cores with, less capabilities and less cache makes things a lot harder for the operating system. And so, yeah, they can assign threads to certain cores and whatnot. But when you're doing high performance type stuff, and then suddenly you've got to shift some of that load to the E-cores, things start messing up, and suddenly you get all kinds of bottlenecks inside the CPU because it's trying to mix and match, what data needs to go where, and what's dirty and what's,
and you're seeing inconsistencies between runs of the very same set of processes.
Yeah, and
maddening.
And that's kind of why AMD went the way they did. They never did these E-cores. Now, when you've got something like Android, okay, ARM, they brought the big little out, and there are things that it kind of works in there. I mean, it's not perfect, but it works. It's like, hey, we're going to send the touchscreen inputs through one of your efficiency cores. We're going to do these certain processes, and it's very, very granular how they do that. And it just kind of works. But when you're running, Cinebench on something with P cores and E cores, suddenly stuff starts to really have problems. And when you're running something really different and robust and like games and whatnot, it makes the complexity even more hard. So, yeah, it's an interesting idea. If you have a kind of walled garden environment where you really could spend the individual time to assign threads to the cores and do that consistently, then great, you're going to have great payoffs and dividends for doing that. But in high performance computing, E-cores just break too much stuff.
I mean, I can understand the operating systems like Android asking ARM, hey, big, little, could you keep doing this? This is awesome. This is what we want. Did Microsoft go to Intel and ask for E-cores? Or did Intel just sort of come up with this on their own as a solution to a problem that didn't exist? Well, and a desperate hope to reduce power consumption. They didn't do it for absolutely no reason, but it's maybe you should have consulted with the people whose software is going to be running on these before jumping in.
Yeah, it absolutely makes sense to define your operating characteristics. Like I think Josh was saying, the phone or the mobile space is a perfect example of this, to say there's a whole series of actual activities that we're going to do here that is easily homed on the E-cores, and we don't need to bring any of that background processing. Did I get a phone call? Did I get a touch input? Things like that to the foreground. And they allowed them to build platforms and single SoCs that optimize the space, that matched their operating systems. I mean, the obvious poster child of this is Apple. They did a very good job at this. It actually is good. They really did a good job at that. I know.
Yeah, they did. It's really
true,
great.
Apple, they're so good. So good at
Every
everything.
time I pick up
things.
my iPhone 12 non-Pro, I'm just amazed.
Does it shoot electric bolts down your legs when you pick it up?
Well, the battery's too weak
Because
for
if
that
so,
now, Josh.
you need to ground
it
your
used to.
charger better. Yeah.
Well, no, it does, but that's just because you've bent over and are standing up, and now the nerve signals are sending lightning bolts down your legs because you're not young anymore.
Oh, well, there's that.
They called it a lightning connector for a reason.
That's true. This one does have a lightning connector. It's so old. All right. Next, we talked about Intel processors. Let's talk about AMD and how we're probably not getting Zen 6 this year. Reportedly set to launch in 2027, according to this report at, again, videocards.com. An excellent website you should check out. So Bench Life, which is their source here, claims that Olympic Ridge is expected to stay on AM5. Theoretically, current AMD 800 series chipset boards would be able to use this, but not expected to arrive before 2027 at the earliest.
Well, everything has been pushed back. All the things. 2026 is going to be a desert of new products, except, of course, if you're into sim racing. Then you're going to have plenty of things to talk about. But in terms of CPU, graphics, stuff like that, all of the money is going to be going to these large CPU, GPU installations for AI and data centers. You like to pick up your Google Android phone and speak to it, and suddenly you get 30 things that apply to whatever you're doing. Well, that's data centers. That's data center. Well, you don't, but there are a lot of people. There's 75% of the world who would do that. And maybe I'm being generous, but I don't think so.
Yeah.
Probably is going to be
75% of North America.
Yeah.
I'll give you that 100%.
But yeah, it's not a shock. I mean, it's a blessing and a curse in many things. They're selling a lot of products, AMD, their Instinct and Epic stuff going out the door in the current state. And there's no demand for them to have higher performance. The demand is to provide actual cycles. It doesn't matter how it gets there. I mean, old hardware is still being utilized in new stuff because they need the cycles. They need the compute. And so there is no reason to push forward and to get into crunch time with these products when you're selling everything that you are fabricating currently. And there is a huge amount of competition for these higher end nodes where your product was originally going to be launched for. So it doesn't make sense to pay even more money to launch something that is not going to make a bit of difference in your bottom line because you can still keep selling the older stuff. It's, the 2026 looks not very interesting unless the new sound card comes out. That'd be kind of cool.
That would be sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd actually work.
Will come back from the dead to release the new Audio 3.
Yes.
I think we're going to see some new displays. I think we're going to start seeing a lot more like 5K gaming displays. I know LG is going to release one soon. It's like 52-inch 5K by 2K.
Well, Dell released that one at CES that looks amazing.
Yep. Yeah. I think the biggest thing is, when you start getting into 5K, I mean, modern hardware, even 5090s and 4090s are going to struggle to push that. Yep. There are certain games where my 4090, it doesn't quite struggle, but it's right at the edge of playable frame rates with high and ultra graphic settings. So, it's good. These new displays are going to be great, but we're going to have to wait a while before hardware can really utilize them to their max.
So what you're saying is
that's
2026 is the year of monitors that you don't have a GPU to drive.
Exactly.
Very, very
if you had SLI,
They should just
'Cause
bring back
if it-
SLI.
If
Yeah.
you put together two
We don't need SLI
$5,090 GPUs together
Yeah.
to make a $10,180 GPU and SLI, I mean, this is just a missed opportunity for NVIDIA.
Perfectly reasonable. But you've forgotten, you don't need the hardware when you can have AI hallucinate 2 out of every 3 frames for you.
I thought it was 5 out of every 6.
Okay,
But-
sorry, it's 5. Well, it depends
yeah,
on the
it's-
quality setting, but yeah.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, so why buy hardware when you can just hallucinate it?
I
Wait.
have a reason to buy hardware, Jeremy. And it's our next story. Acer, brilliant strategists.
Yeah,
They have
you
a-
might want to pay us now because
Yeah.
it'd be a shame if something happened to the prices on our hardware in the next little bit.
By
Literally what they're
threatening
doing.
that prices were about to go up, they got a 40% increase in sales. Literally, quote, buy a notebook quickly before it becomes more expensive, end quote. The story over at Computer Base.
You know, I got to say this. All of us, to the person, back in August, said you need to buy GPUs, memory, and SSDs because all of these things are going to go and increase in price. And so he's just mirroring that. And it turned out to be a great marketing scheme because oddly enough, things have gone up in price. And,
Whoa.
you know, if you prey on fear, sometimes you get good results.
You definitely can.
You'll often win.
Or a bump on your bottom line.
But the good thing is he preyed on the fear and the fear became real. And so he was even more trustworthy.
Now he's prescient.
Yes.
He was a prognosticator.
Mhm. Not a prestidigitator.
No,
It was a Cassandra, which, you know, maybe he was combined with Cassandra and a Jezebel. I don't know, but it works.
Look it up, folks.
Perchance, shall we pontificate on a different news story? Now, as we enter the NVIDIA portion of our news section,
True.
from Tech Power Up, NVIDIA hiring engineers to optimize Proton and Vulkan API performance on Linux. This is exciting.
Now,
So,
just like Intel, it's kind of a job description, which we're trying to figure out where are they going with this.
Where they're going with it is diagnosing GPU and CPU performance bottlenecks in Vulkan and Proton titles.
Oh,
And that's the
okay.
job description for the senior system software engineer Vulkan performance job opening. You can apply right now. It does not have a salary listed. That's negotiable.
Not right now,
Sure.
after the podcast, but you can apply.
Talk to HR. You'll have to go back and forth a little bit on that salary,
But if you want to develop a driver that leads the industry in performance,
that's right.
your option is here. This is your opportunity.
Now, that was just, a taste of the NVIDIA coverage that's to follow. The real story with NVIDIA, of course, from their newsroom today, they have announced their financial results for the fourth quarter and fiscal 2026. It's already over. Fiscal 2026, I think, is wrapping up for NVIDIA here in February. So, Josh,
And
please
they have all the monies.
guide us through their best quarter ever.
Their best year ever. Yeah, $68 billion in revenue. And let me read off this other number. Me. You. They had a 75% gross margin on all of their products, and that includes automotive, networking, gaming, and then, of course, data center. $68 billion in revenue, only $6.7 billion in operating expenses. Their net income, $42.96 billion. That's net income. That's money that they can invest wherever they want. That's money where they could buy $18 billion worth of memory to satisfy their 2026 and through some of
That's only like a terabyte of memory,
2027
though.
needs. Yeah, it's just gross. They still made like $4 billion on gaming cards, which is, you'd think that 10 years ago that would be insane. I mean, AMD was making 1.5 billion a quarter, NVIDIA was making just barely over 2 billion, and then suddenly they're at 68 billion a quarter. Their entire year was $216 billion with a gross margin of 71.1%. Their networking went up like 200% quarter over quarter or year over year. I can't remember which, but it was a tremendous amount. And I mean, their networking stuff is, the NVLink and what they're doing in the big data centers. It's huge money. They're getting back into CPUs, and a lot of the agentic AI stuff that they've been talking about, a lot of the workloads are heavily parsed by the CPU. So the CPU is now becoming just as important as the GPU in a lot of AI stuff. And so they've got the Vera product. I can't remember. But yeah, they're now selling lots of ARM-based processors along with their GPUs to do all of this together to the tune of $68 billion a quarter. And the best thing is they expect next quarter, which is their Q1 quarter, or is it Q2? No, Q1, to be $78 billion. So $10 billion more. So things are not slowing down, and they're selling stuff. And this is money that's coming into them. This is not like IOU sheets that they're reporting on. This is money that they have been paid. So, yeah, the AI bubble is not yet quite ready to be burst. And they're making money, and they continue to be strong, and people keep buying stuff. Except, lowly consumers like you and I. Oh, hey,
Josh.
What?
Josh, you know what the greatest thing about gaming for NVIDIA is? Is their second biggest revenue generator. Their second biggest.
Yeah, automotive still hasn't quite got there yet. No. Networking, not there. But,
gaming, it's number two.
It saw some good growth in gaming. Blackwell, it was strong for them. An extra 200 million a quarter versus the damn near 20 billion in data center from last. Yeah, it's
we all agree, little lopsided. We need to do our part and buy more GPUs.
Yeah. Yes.
Apple has announced plans to manufacture some Macs in the US this year. They're going to manufacture them in Texas, and it's just the Mac Mini.
It's something. Moving it back from Vietnam and China. So bringing that back, U.S. mainland. That's kind of even though it's not, some of their high-end stuff, it's still a big deal.
No, they were doing the Mac Pro, the trash can in the U.S. I remember the
Texas
hubbub about that.
Yeah.
And the super low production Mac Pro with the $1,000 wheels also assembled here. Look at this.
Nobody ever said that was the reason why it cost so much. It's because those wheels were lovingly created and assembled in the good old US of A. Nobody ever mentioned that. I'm not implying it. I'm just saying no one ever really talked about it.
No, that's a great point, Brett. Totally excuses it.
There are artisanal wheels. And I artisanal. They are truly. Mm-hmm. Designed by Johnny Ive before he left.
He probably did. Designed the perfect circular wheel.
Look at this. They're down. They're only $699 now. When they launched, they were $1,000.
$699.
It's quite a deal.
What kind of bearings are in these? They better be the world's best.
They would be the best bearings.
Titanium.
Oh, the monitor stand is $1,000. That's good.
I'm gonna go launch and space sensitive on those. Probably and ceramic.
Well, the grease is provided by the lactation of virgin mothers.
Okay, that's
If anybody's wondering how we ever arrive at what do you guys cut? How come it's all not in?
right. That'd be why.
What?
As soon as he said the grease was provided by, I could just see Brett tensing up.
At least he didn't actually say that they were underage, but it's implied. All right, so Mac models at macsales.com, powered by OWC. If you look at this, look how far the Mac Pro has fallen. You can buy a trash can Mac Pro for $179. The big boy, though, the 2019, still over $1,100. Now, that's a savings of $18,520.
By Grabthar's hammer, what a savings.
That's not quite where I want it to be yet. For me to buy one, it needs to be kind of in this range. Just the novelty of like, hey, I've got one of those Mac Pros and it's got the wheels. Got it for $200. But no, not yet. Also, I kind of don't like that front panel. It kind of freaks me out a little bit.
Yeah.
You want to grate cheese on it.
that.
You want to grate cheese. It's like
then it would
I've
be
got this
such a
big thing of
pain to clean it, though, afterwards. You'd be scrubbing it with a toothbrush to get the cheese out of it. It's disgusting.
Yeah, it's tryptophobia, something like that.
Yeah, that's something like that. I never knew I had it until I saw that.
Yep.
Okay. Better story coming up. Moving on to some actual relevant PC hardware news. Time for alternatives. The Clev, or Cleve, I don't know how to pronounce it, CRAS C925G and the Maxio MAP1602A-F3C. They just roll off the tongue. And they're alternatives to the stuff that's out there, and they're cheaper, and that can only be a good thing. If you're looking for an NVMe drive, I wish, Jeremy, that they were even cheaper than this, because a brand I've never heard of with a possibly unproven controller for $300 for 2 terabytes sounds obscene, but this is 2026 after all.
Well, I mean, it sounds obscene, but as a comparable against what you've got to pay to get that amount of storage in your regular name brands, and
I'd
that's
say $300 is pretty standard for 2 terabytes right now.
Oh, I thought we were getting into the stratosphere with some of that stuff. I haven't looked lately.
It's just that, honestly, that price for that Clev is better than anything else on the market right now. It's not good, but it's better. And hopefully you're not going to see giant orders for them. People aren't going to be ordering entire pallets full to go into their new OpenAI instance. So maybe this is the time to start doing those questionable brands that, I don't really know what that controller is. Okay, the flash is good. We know the flash is. Because, even if it only gives you 80% of what a PCIe 4 drive should, how much are you going to notice when you're loading a game? You're not. It's already faster than you need. So, hey, give it a shot.
Well, they do stress that they use strictly selected 3D TLC NAND flash chips.
What do you think that means?
I think it means that they get the rejects from other companies and then they strictly select only the best ones.
Maybe the other brands have strictly suggested. They have strictly selected ones that they don't use and then sent them to these guys.
I'm just making that up. Don't quote me on
yes.
that. Obviously, I'm sure they're the finest quality, and these MSRPs don't mean anything. I think what really is happening is that everybody and their brother are like, hey, let's put out a product, because profits have never been higher than they are right now. They will never be higher.
They're right.
Clev's definitely been around for several years. They've been making DDR4 and DDR5 modules for several years, and they were generally well thought of. They weren't as well known as G-Skill, Corsair, but I have heard of them and never seen anything really negative about them.
Yeah, they were kind of big in the OEM market, so I remember seeing Clev stuff all over. So,
and you can't really call Max IO unheard of either. I mean, it's not your go-to controller, but they've been around for quite a while. I don't know if we're ready for my digital SSD again, though.
That was an exciting time. Just the idea of getting an SSD at all back then.
Yeah.
Super
Oh, that was
like
my digital
Nevada,
SSD.
weren't they?
Something like that, yeah. Yeah,
I liked
almost
them. I
local
bought
to
a
you.
couple, and they were good performing, nice quality.
Were they J
they just
Micron or who
couldn't-
was the controller on those?
No. They used different ones. They, gosh, what was the first? Not Bigfoot, but the SanDisk.
No.
They were
SandForce.
big in the
Yeah, it was
SanDisk.
SandForce. Yeah,
No.
SandForce. There's a name we haven't heard in a long time for reasons.
I think Maxell's house brand uses SandForce controllers. I think so.
Okay, the current state of 2 terabyte Gen 4 and Gen 5 storage on Newegg, once you get past refurbished
God,
stuff.
To think that they
spec-
were down at $115 for a 2 terabyte.
I mean, honestly, these are down.
Yeah,
Yeah, they have gone down.
because we're looking at 231 and up for a 2 terabyte Gen 4 or Gen 5 drive, with a lot of them sitting right around that $300 mark once you get into the higher performance with heatsink kind of stuff. So I guess depending on the performance
Whatever you
level.
do, don't look at PCI 5.0 2 terabyte drives.
No, it's not.
Don't look
a
at
happy
WD
thing.
Black, because those
Yeah,
are
those
shocking.
are-
Those are $500
Yeah.
now
Really expensive.
for 2 terabytes.
Don't
I thought I
shop
saw
right
a
now.
Gen 5. I thought I saw a Gen 5 whip by on the screen Sebastian was just on for $299, which
Very likely, yes.
yeah.
But does it have the brand equity of the WD Black?
Do you?
No.
I thought it
See,
was a,
WD
it might have been a team group.
$400 for an SN750. SN
there it is.
8100,
29?
2 terabytes, $529. That's the lowest price in 30 days. Western Digital killed the branding and decided to make everything SanDisk.
Yeah.
They just skyrocketed in price.
That still seemed like an odd choice to me because Western Digital is such a recognized name, and a lot of people just they trust them implicitly.
Well, yeah, because they didn't go Seagate.
They didn't go Seagate.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
One out of every 4 drives is just going to die.
And I'll be honest, I don't think I've ever had a Western Digital drive just die on me. But
Don't you,
You
also
know-
claim to have an IBM desk scar running somewhere?
no. No. But yeah. So it just seemed odd that they would move away from that branding and go with the SanDisk name on their solid state storage devices moving forward. Unless they know that the solid state stuff is going to fail and they don't want it associated with the WD brand. Conspiracy theory time. There we go.
They'll just sell WD to Enterprise, and then you can have the SanDisk, Optimus Pro, whatever it is. So we were talking about pricing on SSDs. What about DDR5? Here's a story from videocards.com from a couple days ago. DDR5 prices have started to ease up a little bit over in Europe. It's trending back down to earth a little bit. They tested it. They saw how high they could go. They saw the sales drop, and now the
volume
price correction
dropped.
is starting to happen.
That's right. I feel like some of this was speculative based upon all of the... True. So, yeah, some of this, that final peak may have been speculative. We don't know where supply is really going to settle out here. We may see it rise above the previous peak of just a few days ago. We don't know if this is going to be the new normal for X period of time equal to 2026. Not sure. Clearly, this is no return to normal. Supply is still constrained, and prices are wily. Or I said constrained, or as Acer might say, buy now or forever regret your decision.
Yes. Even the hard drives are sold out.
That's true. Western
We've
Digital.
hit that point where even the
We were
bloody
just
hard drives
talking
are sold
about-
out for the year.
wasn't Kent just talking about? I may have never bought a Western Digital drive, and now you can't. So there you go. There's a certain symmetry to that.
Well, he said he never had one fail.
Oh, sorry.
But
Sorry,
hey,
you can't get a replacement. So you're
Thanks for listening, Brett.
Yeah. Let's moving on. And speaking of things failing, you don't want your expensive 5090 to fail, especially when you're doing very unwise things to it with voltage and power. So Thermal Grizzly's WireView Pro is now in version 2. You can read the review of it over at NickTech. And it has, of course, per pin current monitoring, which is something that you probably want if you're doing...
And we'll shut it down if it notices things go out of spec.
And why does this matter? Because
be
the people out
into
there,
a $5,090 video card.
Well, there's that.
Right, or Canadian.
And they give you a really, really reliable connection.
The Canadian price, Jeremy was telling us before the show, for that ridiculous $5,090 5090 from MSI is $7,777.77.
It is.
Which sounds like a bargain to me. But please, whatever you do, don't use one of these adapters. Buy a new power supply that can handle the ridiculous power excursions over a 12-volt high power. Don't use the adapter that works its way loose. You know, oddly enough...
Sebastian... Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, and Brett, you're smarter than me. You probably know the answer to this. Certain objects within our world expand when they get hot, or possibly shrink when they get cold. I'm not just talking about...
Are you challenging the law of thermodynamics?
No,
are you talking
not just talking about
I
human
think you
organs.
should be asking Josh.
I'm talking about...
No, don't.
Is it possible that a plastic adapter could expand when it gets really, really hot?
And catch fire. Alt catch fire. The old HCF protocol. The story that we're actually referencing here is in reference to those yellow-tipped adapters for the 12-volt high power connection. And there's some reports that perhaps the plastic is of such a material, as Sebastian was implying, that may expand and literally work its way out of the socket. Now, the good idea that they had here was if you see yellow, burn a fellow, whatever rhyme that you find appropriate. But the idea was that's
clever.
Yeah, thank you. If you see yellow, the idea was that, it's not plugged in all the way. Just push more. I don't know. But the point was that it was supposed to be a color indicator that you did not have it fully seated. But apparently these connectors are working their way out and causing potential hazards. Because as Josh is well aware, as you get high voltage, pins next to each other and start to pull them apart, they start to arc.
Yeah.
So go ahead, Josh.
Could we go back to the username of the person and just appreciate that for a second? Go up a little bit more. Snoo paintings. 7769.
Yeah.
Well, I too am a fan of snoo paintings, so I appreciate you coming forward with this news.
It's a sharp eye. It's a sharp eye, Josh. Thank you.
Yeah. He sees what he wants to see.
Yeah, but it's true. You see yellow and you got to plug it back in. It just, unfortunately, you have to do that at least once a week.
Josh, we've had generations of people trained. You see yellow, you let it mellow. You see brown, you flush it down.
You go to town?
Yes. So I don't know why this needs to be this interactive event. Every time you want a game, you've got to open your side panel and make sure that this 12-volt high power is firmly seated and then start your gaming session. But if you game for too long, you got to open it up and kind of check it again. It might have gotten too hot in there. Maybe it worked its way loose. Because everybody puts too much stress on the damn connector because the cases are not meant for this thing. Cases need to be twice as wide. That's all there is to it. And the connector needs to be revised also.
And you got to hammer it in with a hammer, literally.
Let's talk about cars for a second, because there's been this disgusting trend in automotive where the oil pans are plastic on a lot of these cars. You've got a metal engine block
Mm-hmm.
with a plastic oil pan. And plastic and metal do not expand and contract at the same temperatures.
Oh, here we
I
go
know
with
that
those
much.
thermodynamics. Thermodynamics again.
So then you're putting a lot of stress on whatever sealant is used between these two materials, and eventually you have leaks, which is probably not ideal for your engine block. So make the oil pan metal, and it's better. And you make the connector metal, and I imagine it would not shrink or expand the same as the plastic one. Just a thought.
or get pushed out of the socket.
I'm not a scientist. I just think it should be a metal connector.
See, I always thought yellow meant slow down.
Or hit the gas.
Yeah,
Does
according to Starman, hit the gas, go very
yellow
fast.
mean- Oh, come on, Taxi. Christopher Lloyd?
I think the rule is if it won't help to slow down, pour it on.
When in doubt, flat out.
Yeah.
Next, command line automation has come to Ada 64 in version 8.25.
Ada keeps getting better. We all love it. Anyone who really likes to get deep and down into their hardware without digging through device manager's ridiculous setup likes Ada. And one of the things that's been happening is that they've been selling to, large corporations who have been begging for a very long time now to say, hey, is there any way we can control this that's not through a GUI? And it's taken a while, but they've managed to pull it off. So you can automate a variety of tasks to see what's going on in your environment, which, is actually kind of a really nice thing to see. You'll have to get the engineer, one of the higher ones. So just the builder is not going to be able to do that. But the other thing is you could, in theory, automate benchmarks because they do some good stability tests. And they've completely
Did you just say
redone the way they
doo-doo?
handle. I did do the doo-doo.
Do.
Yes. They also redid their NVMe testing so that it's a little bit better at handling stuff that you really want to see your NVMe drives hammered at. The ones we can't afford, as we mentioned earlier. But, if you've already got some and you want to abuse them to the point where they're going to die and, or at least make sure that they're not dying. That's the other nice thing about this version is that they've really redone that NVMe stuff, which honestly, they didn't get too into it, and I didn't follow up, which I could have. Does that mean that a lot of the drive testing has been done based on the assumption it was like an old style SSD, not doing proper PCIe NVMe stuff? I'm assuming that the answer would probably be yes, and that it'll be interesting to see how these new benchmarks run. But if you've never used it, there's always the 30-day free trials. And if you have used it, well, thank them because they're pretty damn good.
And finally, in our news section, we couldn't avoid the Discord topic. We talked about it last week, and there seems to be something of a resolution, which is just the usual. Let's just delay it because the overwhelmingly negative response to global age verification coming as it does right before their IPO, they want to kind of, they want everybody to calm down.
Simmer
Just forget
down
about
now.
So they're just going to,
I think they're exaggerating a bit here with everyone on Earth, but it's nice to think that they think they reached that far.
PC Gamer, a little bit of hyperbole here, but almost everyone on Earth was upset with Discord.
Most people alive are upset about this.
So it's been pushed back to, some point later this year. And they had to distance themselves from that one company. And it wasn't getting any better. So now they're saying things like, we've missed the mark and we want to get it right. And here's what we got wrong and what's changing and all this other stuff. You can read their.
And we realized we've already data mined you enough that we do know how old you are. So why did we even do this?
Sebastian, you forgot to mention transparency and privacy.
Well, right. Yeah. It's all in their blog posts.
Yes, your privacy is transparent, or No, we're transparent about our privacy. Yes,
No, those
that's
are-
what I meant.
Separate statements. I don't think you're getting it.
I'm on it right now.
So yeah, that was the Discord thing. They're backing off, of course, because money.
Well, no, what actually happened is that the person that they said to develop that created a storage group on Azure for everything to be uploaded to, but they didn't have any actual security on it. And so they did some testing and 50,000 people got their ID stolen. Because they actually hired a janitor to create the Azure bulk storage.
As you do. Welcome to Insecurity Corner, your weekly reason to drink.
And our first story, there's various sources out there. Here's one from Petapixel. There was a story about the 7,000 DJI robot vacuums. Somebody was trying to control them with a PlayStation 5 controller.
That's right. It was benign at first.
Yep.
They were just kind of hacking around with
Just
their own
wanted to
device.
drive it around with a game controller.
It's not a
As one
submarine
does.
controller.
I mean, as one does, why wouldn't you want that? I mean,
But you'll never believe what happened next.
what happened next? Well, he created the ability for him to manipulate the onboard environment, the systems, and suddenly found himself able to tap into something like 17,000 devices around the world. Oopsie. And then he noticed that he could begin to control the cameras as well as drive the devices around remotely, which clearly exposed all kinds of environmental it's a catastrophe in that whatever's in its environment, you could drive this device over and read off serial numbers, IP addresses, spy on people in the room. I don't think it had audio, just video, but sometimes that's more than enough.
No, they're all vacuums don't tend to have audio.
No, but very
They
disturbing.
really
Not that you
good
know
noise
of anyway.
suppression. But no, and it maps out the entire room, house, of course, because it's a robot vacuum.
Of course.
It knows your schedules because it doesn't like getting stepped on, except maybe a couple of weird models. So it knows when you're generally in or out of the house. And so it's not even just
really great pictures of your valuables as well, I might add.
Yeah. So it's not just remote surveillance. It's literally, guess what? That vacuum is talking to the thieves and telling them exactly when to come in and visit.
A part of the story is the reverse engineering of the API and the sort of the control plane of the device and what was going on using Claude code. Hackers welcome the AI to the chat. This is obviously a nefarious use of our new AI overlords.
So the best news, of course, is that DJI just makes robot vacuums, right? That's the only thing they're involved in and aren't like one of the major manufacturers of drones.
Being involved in drones.
You know what the best part about it is?
Barred from selling in the country. Go, Josh.
The best part about it is Amazon had the ability to buy this group, but the U.S. government said no. No, I mean, they were not allowed to. Literally, there was a person in
DJI as a whole.
No, not DJI. It was iRobot, right?
Oh, okay.
No. The DJI bought the vacuum. Amazon tried to buy them, but they were blocked by the U.S. government to do that. So, outstanding work, guys. Good job.
And my understanding is, and I did this mention it was probably about a month or so ago as one of my picks from alternative drones to DJI, but DJI has recently been barred from selling new devices to the United States. There's existing older designs and existing stock, but as far as I know, they are barred from selling here.
Is that your shocked face? Shocked face.
This story is actually insane. Yeah, it's a $2,000 robot vacuum. I guess that's why there's only like 7,000 of them out there or whatever. Refuses to use the normal app like a peasant. I think we need to just put a capper on this. That DJI has fixed this, or they are in the midst of fully patching it. But it has been.
You can trust them. You just can't legally buy them here anymore.
Yeah, for reasons.
Moving on from Bleeping Computer, Predator spyware hooks iOS Springboard to hide the mic and camera activity. That's not good.
That's in fact very bad. You definitely don't want that. So this is definitely an indication of audio and video recording by spyware, and the ability to shut off the notification on mobile devices that you're being recorded visually or auditorily is bad. So yeah, this is just one of these spyware side effects of this spyware once you get it on your phone. But it's often
so this is the unofficial Predator and not the official Predator that was also proposed by a certain governmental body.
This illustrates that people who are running around with their iOS devices saying, "I'm immune to this," it isn't true. So this does happen even on Apple devices. This sort of thing. No comment from Apple on this one yet, because they really don't comment on current issues. They never do.
No, they don't. They never.
They really commented on them after they fix them.
They don't comment on future products. They don't comment on current issues. What do they comment on? How exciting!
You just sort of notice that all of a sudden they're patching 5-year-old devices suddenly, whatever, and wonder why.
Yeah, you do see that, and then you're like, "What did they just do?" Whenever they talk about something, they come out and say, "Whatever it is probably the best ever." It's not just
this
refinement from last year's model.
The best iPhone we've ever had.
This thing is better than comparable thing from 2 generations ago by a huge margin.
The M4 processor delivers 3 times the performance of the M1. What about M3 though?
What about
don't worry about M3
Pro Max? What about M3 Max?
M2 Pro Max. Don't worry about
there was no M2 or M3. Just
those still seem pretty comparable on paper. What do you think about that?
No, the optimizations that we've made, Brett, are just, you don't understand.
So much more cache.
Okay, this is interesting.
That's a cache product.
From Tom's Hardware, California bill, of course California, would restrict 3D printer sales to state-approved models to prevent printing gun parts.
Now,
oh boy,
you might just say it's California, but in fact, it's not just California. It's New York.
No, it's not.
There's like one other state that's like leading the charge into some restrictions on 3D printer.
What on earth would California and New York possibly have in common? Not to get political.
State has got a state. State has got a state, man.
Okay.
So this is the the proverbial nose under the tent of, well, we only want to do this to prevent you from 3D printing weapons, until they come up with something else that they don't like the fact that you might print. And this is where protectionism starts to come in with, like, we don't like you printing keyboard stands because the keyboard stand industry has really given a lot of money to our political theater this election cycle.
So 3D print looks like it could be printers. Apple. It could be used on an Apple device, and we're not going to let you do that.
Am I prevented from smelting at home? Can I not make my own metals and cast my own parts at home with sand casting?
I'm sorry. You're going to need to serialize every casting that you make, and we're going to have to take some tax on that.
All right.
In a related story, Texas has introduced a competing law that says if you own a 3D printer, you must use it to print firearm parts.
You are legally obligated to mass produce caltrops to spread on I-35 North.
We laugh, but
yeah, well,
no. I first ran into this because I posted the Creality K2 Pro combo because I realized, hey, I haven't linked to a 3D printer review in a very long time, and I'm curious. And so I read through it, and I'm like, wow, okay, next generation actually is pretty damn good. Already comes with a heated bed, a heated enclosure. The extruder is significantly better, is a lot faster. It's not going to print spaghetti quite as often. And the comment is, oh yeah, Creality, the first ones that went to California to beg them to limit the amount of stuff you can 3D print. I'm like, okay, well, it's the internet. and I accidentally read a comment. Well, I was going through the spam comments, but it was there, so I read it. And okay, I want to Google this. Is this true? No. Crowdy did not approach the California government or, do this willingly. They were called to discuss this in front of the California government as to what would happen if we tried to limit these prints. And well, how?
Yeah.
You're going to have a list of all of the possible things that could be
shapes
made into something, and it's going to phone someone the second someone downloads. Oh, and should it be when they download the file, or should it be when they start to print it? Or
so yeah, your government in action. Let us move to gaming quick hits, and I hope you're not sick of Fallout. Fallout New Vegas Van Buren demo is coming in just days as of this recording.
Yes, March 5th is the official date that it will drop, because if you know the long and bizarre history of the Fallout saga and whether or not you were allowed to kill certain individuals, or whether it was wrong to allow people to become drug addicted, or the huge fight between what are you doing to my turn-based game and making it real time. Van Buren was going to be the original Fallout 3. It was going to bridge the gap between the two systems so that you could choose, should combat be turn-based? Should it be real time?
It was going to bring balance to the Force.
And much like that trilogy, it would have been awful. So Interplay got really pissed off at Bethesda, said, no, it's all going to be real time. And what are you doing messing with special? Why are you breaking stuff up? This isn't D&D. This is Fallout. And essentially it all exploded. And for a while they were worried that there wouldn't be any more Fallout. And then there was. So this is a group, the New West group, that's been working on this for quite a while. Grabbed the New Vegas engine and trying to do the Van Buren start, which is still happening in the Mojave Desert. It's before you were the courier. Now you're the prisoner. And it happens in a prison that apparently did actually show up on the Fallout series on TV. So you might just wake up in Tibbet's prison on March the 5th. If you so desire. It's a total conversion mod of everything they've done. They put out one a couple of years ago that was They've taken it down everywhere and said, look, there was just so much wrong with this. We can't even support it anymore. Not even as just like a, retro, haha, this is where we were at this time. So it's going to be interesting to see how this is. It's just, it hurts because you got Fallout London and you got several other ones coming up, and the variety of Morrowind and new old Elder Scrolls games coming out. It's fun to replay everything, but hopefully you don't get burnt out on a replay of Fallout before this comes out sometime. Because the demo is just the start of the game. It's probably going to be a while after this. But hey, do them a favor. It's a modded Bethesda game. Break it. Send bug reports, because there's going to be some. We all know.
Thank you, Jeremy. And this, I'm sure, will excite everyone, especially in light of their recent incredible earnings call. But NVIDIA has a monopoly on image quality, according to nearly half of PC gamers who prefer DLSS 4.5 over AMD's FSR, and even native rendering a clean sweep in a blind test of 6 titles. DLSS won in every single game. This is something conducted over at Computer Base. You choose, and they were showing screenshots, and you had to pick, and you didn't know what you were looking at. Everybody loves DLSS. I wonder if that was also because in those screenshots, you also have ray tracing enabled, which would probably 339 megabytes. Good Lord. I guess they were getting full uncompressed views. Wow, that's quite extensive. It's probably going to break this laptop, actually. can zoom so far in that it's painful to look at because they keep scrolling the whole page.
Could you zoom back in onto that grass part again?
Yeah, let's do that again.
The grass.
The grass.
It looks like a 290 million year old cloaca.
Which one of these
very
three
specific, Josh?
do you like best?
I like the green one.
The middle green one.
They were all DLSS 4.5, sucker.
Oh, I was taken in by that.
It's all math in the end. It's just math. And it's just a more circuitous route to get to that math. And that's presented to our eyes. So, yeah, I mean, it's not a whole lot of smoke and mirrors, but it's a lot of really interesting predictive math.
And playing to your perception.
Yes.
There's a lot of human perception involved in what it is that they do. Math in the end, of course. Fast math. Even vaguely accurate. Well,
Yeah.
in a general sense, accurate.
Are the
But
same
playing
I
to your
want to know,
perception.
are the same people who would pick DLSS upscaling over native the ones who don't see a difference between streaming and a Blu-ray, or a Blu-ray and a ultra high definition?
See,
Blu-ray?
this is a problem that has gone back decades, is perception versus reality. And the thing is, ages ago, I wrote a thing, 30 versus 60 frames per second, talking about 3D effects and how people perceived frames. And there were people who were convinced that you couldn't see over 30 frames per second. And if you were just, unfamiliar with that and watching things, it's like, I can't see a difference. But you actually have to train your brain to see those things. The more you work with it, the more your brain becomes accustomed to seeing things the way they are. And then suddenly you're like, 30 frames per second looks like crap. 60 is where it's going to be. And then later it's like, no, 72 hertz is flicker free on CRTs. But then you get to like 90. It's like, this looks like a sheet of paper on a phosphor-based CRT. It's so much brain training involved. It's not even funny. And everybody has different amount of training on these applications. So you can ask the person off the street and they're like, yeah, it looks the same. But then somebody who's been spending hundreds and hundreds of hours on applications and games and these environments, it's like they will see a difference. So yeah, the plasticity of the human brain, it's not cut and dried because oddly enough,
plastic.
people see what they want to see.
Yes.
Sorry to go on a rant, but
It's okay.
what it
I'm glad
is.
you warmed up because it's time for a featured review of the week. Josh,
me.
take it away. The MOZA R5 Bundle.
A strange thing happened in 2020. It was called COVID, and suddenly people were stuck inside their homes and they wanted to do things and they couldn't, do active sports. So Fox did this NASCAR online through iRacing. And this was kind of the seed of a lot of the sim world. They saw these drivers driving in a virtual world and racing in NASCAR and having Fox actually do commentary on this sim. And it wasn't great because there were crashes and strange things happening, but people started buying a tremendous amount of sim gear because they couldn't go outside, or if they could go outside, it was very regimented. But oddly enough, people started buying flight sim gear and racing sim gear. And MOZA was a group called Shenzhen Goodson Technology, and they made photography gimbals. So photo and video gimbal systems that were apparently very high quality and, respected around the world. And they thought, hey, we've got all this metalworking and electric motors and command and control software for these gimbals, why don't we just do sim racing as well? Because it's a growing thing, and they released all their sim racing products. And so after 5-6 years, they've now become a force in the sim racing area, because they have really high quality parts and they have really low prices as compared to everybody else. So SimMagic, SimiCube, Ace Tech, all of them, they are undercutting their prices and providing a product that is just as good. So they sent me the R5 bundle, which is a 5.5 Newton meter direct drive wheel. It's a 12-inch rim attached to this. It's a really good size to it, because 5.5 Newton meters is not huge. It's not 3 Newton meters, which was the last review I did, which was the T248R from Thrustmaster. And they provided a really solid bundle for $399. So that's a 12-inch wheel. It's got synthetic leather wrapped, stitched. Lots of buttons. And, it could actually be swapped out. The rim can be swapped out with a formula rim for only $39, which is a bargain. You can see that picture there is the 12-inch rim versus the 13-inch rim Ace Tech Initium, which is $200 more expensive, the entire group. So they're both 5.5 Newton meter direct drive setups, but the Ace Tech is more expensive. They've included everything with this. They have a very, very solid desk mount. They've got a full metal pedal set, which, if there's one problem with it, it's very basic springs with both the accelerator and the brake. So if you're thinking about having a progressive feel on brake, you're going to be disappointed, because it feels just like an accelerator. So you actually have to purchase the $29 brake performance kit from MOZA to get that progressive, higher spring, elastomer feel. It's not approaching, brake cell type performance, but it is pretty good for only $29. So overall, this is a really strong direct drive wheel. It feels great with the included one. You need to mod the pedal set to get really good performance out of it. But for only $400, it is a serious amount of kit. They provide a lot of the mounting materials. You can attach a handbrake, a shifter, the 5-inch display you can get for $200 and mount it on top of that direct drive to give you telemetry from your racing game. It's a really solid product. Again, it's $100 to $200 less expensive than the competition, and it gives you a really high quality product to do that with. So I was very impressed with this. I've raced with it a lot. I've kicked out my son from the house and converted his bedroom to a sim cave, and I've been using that in there, and it's been fantastic. Again, read the review, go through some of the negatives that you see on there, and probably one of the biggest negatives is it's only 5.5 Newton meters, and that's a reasonable amount of force. But if you want to go into the MOZA ecosystem and get a larger wheel with like a display on it, you're going to have a much more muted experience, because these wheels are heavier, they're wider, and so the amount of leverage that your hands have versus the force of that direct drive wheel hub, it's going to be, your leverage is greater. So you're going to have a dampened experience versus like a smaller 12-inch lighter wheel. So, it's a very good product. Got the gold because they keep advancing the firmware and the software. I mean, almost on a weekly basis. The amount of control you have on there is comparable to the highest end direct drive wheels out there. They just have a really solid product. This is a wonderful solution for someone who is a beginner or an intermediate and, wish to, kind of dig into that whole MOZA ecosystem, which is extensive. You can get a fully solid metal handbrake for less than $100, which across the industry, nobody else sees that. Thrustmaster has a $250 one that is similar. It just kind of tells you where they're at versus the rest of the group. So, yeah, I really enjoyed working this. It was a great product. Really happy with it. And again, if you're interested in sim racing, this is a really great start that you can add to it with the extras that are very inexpensive. You can get a Formula wheel for $39 that you can swap out with the round one. So, yeah, good times. Go MOZA. Really happy.
Thank you, Josh.
You're welcome.
And it is time for Josh to tell us his pick of the week.
Whew. Oh, Lord. Okay, you know what? Going along with the whole sim thing, and this is going to be only available for a limited amount of time. If you are in the Fanatec environment ecosystem and you have some of the older quick release wheels or pedals and whatnot, for $299, you can get a 8 Newton meter direct drive base, which is the lowest it's ever been. They're trying to get rid of them. And like for myself, I've got 2 of the old quick release wheels. They've gone to a new one now that is not compatible with the old. So if you've got some of the old ones and you want to go with direct drive and you have the old CSL Elite for $299, an 8 Newton meter direct drive high quality wheel base, it's a really good buy.
Thank you, Josh. And
You're welcome,
Jeremy,
Sebastian.
your pick this week.
Well, seeing as how you were regaling us with tales of the Final Fantasy VII 7777 bug,
Yes.
and I really have nothing to pick this week
It's
at all.
a feature, not a bug.
Found out that Good Old Games is having a sale on almost all of the Final Fantasy franchise, up to and including the one that you were talking about.
Yes.
And at $4.79, I mean, hey, that's not a bad price for a little bit of nostalgia. And because it's Good Old Games, it's actually probably going to run without ridiculous amounts of tweaking. You could go older, you could go newer, but whatever you're going to get, it's probably going to be cheap.
Definitely sticking with what Jeremy was talking about regarding the PC or state of PC hardware, and why would you buy anything except when you might want to? And if you are in the middle of building a PC and you're waiting and you hadn't bought your GPU yet, and maybe things have gotten out of hand with pricing, and you want to figure out, like, how do I put a GPU in this machine and not be completely and utterly disappointed? Well, maybe Woot's got you covered, but you got to move on it over the next hour today. This is a RTX 5060 for $299. It's the 8 gigabyte card. At this point in the curve of trying to not spend a tremendous amount of money, you may have to settle for a little bit less. And $299 for 5060 isn't horrible.
Yeah.
Right now. It's actually not bad, but there's an hour left of this particular one. So knowing that there'd be an hour left for this one, I went, well, perhaps you are listening to this later, can go on a little bit of a side quest and grab yourself the uprated 5060 Ti. I think this is this is not the OC version. But this is the 16 gigabyte RTX 5060 Ti off of Newegg for $519. You could pay a lot more.
You're really paying for those 8 gigs, aren't you?
You really are. But this is also the Ti. This is the 5060 Ti. This is typically closer to 570, 580, even more than that right now, unfortunately. So at only 519, I know this sounds stupid to say, but this is right now is his deal.
I think Jeremy said it best. This
He
is
did.
not a good
It's
time
not.
to buy
It
PC
isn't.
hardware.
But when you're looking around for where do I turn my dollars into a GPU and how do I do it for the least amount of money? This is a couple of options right now. I'm sorry.
Well,
to
you
say
3D print yourself. Oh wait, no.
that's illegal.
A month ago, you could get a 5070 for the price of that 5060 Ti.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry to recommend it, but that's the state of the way things
I know.
are.
It is. It's
but
bad.
they're good deals from in the environment that we're in, which is not good.
Yes.
I guess it's like,
Yes.
what if you're offered the choice between getting shot in the face or eating nails? Like, eating nails sounds really good right now.
It's going to suck longer, but less.
Yes. Kent, do you have a pick this week?
I do have a pick this week. This is a very nice low profile CPU cooler. If you're using an ITX build, this has a max height of 67 millimeters, 6 heat pipes. There's actually a lot of thermal mass on this little cooler. I got this for the Bazite test build in the Fractal Terra. It fits nicely in the Terra. And this has enough thermal mass and dissipation that I was actually able to apply a slight undervolt and overclock on a 12600K up to 5.1 individual cores and 4.9 all core on the P cores. It's pulling about 100, just shy of 150 watts in a Cinebench, and this will still keep it under about 94 degrees. So it keeps it just under thermal throttling at that power limit, which is, pretty impressive for a cooler this size. So I've been pretty impressed with it. It's $40.
Yes. Cooler's still not crazy, thankfully. Coolers and cases are okay for now. Thank you, Kent. My pick this week, really quick. I recently purchased this item from Amazon. It is a Ugreen brand external NVMe enclosure. We've seen a few of these. There's an OWC one that I think was first. It's been on the market for a couple of years now. That has the exact same chip. It's an ASMedia Thunderbolt 4/USB 4 controller chip inside. I've seen comments that this thing can run faster if you reapply thicker thermal pads. So I'm going to try that because I've done just some initial testing with mine. But there's a resource
you might want to rest Brett's cooler on top of it.
Sure.
Yeah, sure.
There is a useful resource. There's this person named Dan Carlton, his tech blog, where he has a list, an ever-growing list, of the fastest USB 4 devices. This particular one is an ASM 2464 PD. It's been updated as of February of 2025 anyway. So this particular Ugreen model is not in there.
Does this remind you of anything?
No, I
maybe
can't
a
imagine what
SSD decoder ring.
Yes.
No,
it's not complicated enough. It's not colorful enough. But
True.
I did use this resource last night.
And there's no SanDisk.
I followed this link here to the ASMedia ASM2XXX, just their generic firmware updater, and I found out I was indeed running an outdated version of the firmware from Amazon.
Oh.
So I was able to update it to the latest firmware, and I did see a slight increase in transfer speeds afterwards.
Nice.
So definitely, if you're on the lookout for one of these drives, almost all of the current crop seems to be using this ASMedia controller.
And they've got J Micron. Does it stutter still?
They're still in the game.
Does it stutter still?
I don't know.
I don't know. Have you updated to the latest driver?
But yeah, you can.
This stutter wrap?
Nothing is more exciting to me than scrolling through a repo to try to find a newer version of the firmware on the $66 device I bought on Amazon last week.
Oh, there's a certain thrill to it. Yeah.
There is.
Yeah.
And I said, whoa, I'm either going to brick this and just return it to Amazon and say it doesn't work.
Good chance. Good chance
Or
of that. Yep.
I'll get better performance. Who knows?
You need to roll the dice on that one.
So that's it. That's my pick this week. And we want to thank you for listening to this podcast, for watching this video. If you did, if you're one of the 2,000 or 3,000 people who will watch the edited version of this.
You.
If you're one of the tens of thousands listening on your podcast player of choice, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I'm
Driving.
going to do it next week,
home,
I think.
From work, perhaps.
Yeah,
Listening
driving.
in your living room while mixing up some morning biscuits. You don't know what people are doing.
Biscuits.
They could do anything. Yeah, biscuits.
You gotta cut the butter when it's cold. If you want those flaky biscuits, you can't use warm butter.
Yep.
You can't use room temperature butter. You got to cut that butter. You got to not over mix, just gently mix a little bit, just to get it together.
You need it?
Lightly. The more you work
Lightly.
the biscuit dough, the flatter the biscuits will grow.
Yeah. No, it needs the
And-
chunks of butter, the cold butter.
They need to be cold. You need to get them in there, mix quickly, get them into that hot oven. Then you get that flakiness.
Yeah, you never know what you're going to learn on this show.
We'll have a biscuit stream at some point. I've developed my
That'd be
own
excellent.
methods.
That'd be
When
excellent.
my wife was pregnant, I had to make biscuits for her almost every day.
Well, you
It's-
lived,
yeah.
so obviously you did a decent job.